Scientists prove men are more likely to fall in love at first sight, but still don't know why. Well, I know that my youngest son knew that he was going to marry the girl that he met at first sight. Not only did he know it, he even declared it to the man that became his best man at their wedding. He said, "That's the girl I'm going to marry." That's amazing. I guess love at first sight actually does work. Now, Tim Corso's Sputnik reports, despite the phenomenon of people falling in love with each other almost instantly being described in literature for centuries, not much is known about its scientific grounds to this day. Men are more likely to fall in love at first sight than women. Researchers from Australia's Murdoch University, the University of Colorado in the US, and Charles University in the Czech Republic determined, following an extensive experiment involving several hundred volunteers, they ran a series of tests trying to recreate the phenomenon of love, and not only succeeded in that, but also determine how differently it works in men and women. Both male and female volunteers were shown portraits of the opposite sex and then asked if they liked them or not. The trick, however, was that they were shown blurred images in order to recreate the feeling of catching a glimpse of a person's face. Afterwards, the volunteers were shown regular images of the same faces and asked whether they liked those persons now. And as it turned out, men changed their opinion for the negative more often than women after seeing the non-blurred image, meaning they were more likely to fall in love in a brief moment only to be disappointed later. On the contrary, women tended to underestimate the opposite sex as they more often changed their opinion, beginning to like man's face after having a chance to see it in detail. When it comes to what's behind this so-called first impression bias and the differences in men and women's perceptions, the scientists are currently out of answers. The researchers pointed out the need for further studies in order to define the reason behind this bias. 4 dates to make the right call? But what about more lasting emotions and not the fleeting moment of love at first sight? American researchers earlier determined that for a strong connection to be formed between two individuals, they need more than just a glance at each other. According to their studies, it takes approximately 4 dates for a pair to create a more or less comprehensive understanding of each other and decide whether they just can't live without that person. Much of the information we received about our partners at this stage is largely processed subconsciously, but nonetheless affects our judgment. Still, it takes time for a person's subconscious to form a more or less just opinion about their love interests. Otherwise, the mind will fill in the remaining gaps and may not necessarily be correct in the end. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.